So, good morning. Welcome everybody to this session on designing the low carbon transition. My name is Katharina Krell and I'm a thematic expert for low carbon economy at the Interage Europe Policy Learning Platform, and I'm going to be the main moderator of this session. And I would like to present you the colleagues from the low carbon team. There's Verena Prim and Charo Camacho. They're policy officers in charge of low carbon economy topics at the Joint Secretariat of Interage Europe. And there is Simon Hankin, thematic expert for low carbon economy like myself. So we have designed this session for you. And the objective is to highlight the achievements and results of the past programming period under what is called TO4, so low carbon economy, and to look a little bit into future topics of interregional cooperation of relevance to energy and mobility. And to this end, we will first hear from the Joint Secretariat about some program level achievements with numbers and success indicators, followed by a look at the thematic achievements through the lens of the policy learning platform. Then we will hear 3 short presentations from project partners to showcase exemplary achievements in our 3 focus areas: renewables, mobility, and energy efficiency, so that we see a little bit what the Interage program has achieved in the past period. Finally, we will discuss which issues could be addressed in the context of future cooperation. And I hope this is going to give you a good glimpse of the past and some ideas for the future. So we're having 60 minutes. And without further ado, I would like to hand over to Verena, please, for the first presentation.
Super. Good morning, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Thanks, Katharina, for this introduction and for the floor. So I'm very pleased to give you this really quick overview about the achievements of the 2014-2020 period when it comes to the low carbon economy projects. So maybe we can move on to the first slide where we see a map of Europe. You should know that in the past programming period, we run 4 calls for proposals, and in these 4 calls, we approved a total of 60 projects under the thematic objective of the low carbon economy. And in those 60 projects, we have 463 partners from 29 different countries all across Europe. You can see them here on the map, and you can see that they spread really widely. And we're glad to say and really proud to say that we don't only involve the capital regions, but also, let's say, the less developed regions and the remote and sometimes even the overseas regions that also are part of Europe. The 60 projects can be split into 4 big thematic blocks, and this is what we'll see on the next slide. The biggest block is the topic of sustainable mobility or sustainable transport, where we have a total of 26 projects. 8 out of those are focusing on sustainable urban mobility planning. We have also quite a lot of projects dealing with e-mobility, and we have many projects looking into policy solutions to enhance cycling and mobility as a service. The second block is about the energy efficiency, so where we have 10 projects alone dealing with energy efficiency in buildings. So we talk about different types of buildings, such as social housing or heritage buildings. We also have a lot of projects looking into policy solutions for financial instruments, for energy efficient construction and renovation. And last but not least, also some projects looking into smart buildings and smart grids. The third block is the low carbon strategy. So this is about, let's say, holistic strategies to decrease carbon emissions in a given territory, like a specific city, but it can also be an area like a port area or a strait area. And we have also projects dealing with low carbon strategies in a specific sector, such as the audiovisual production sector. And the fourth block, which is, let's say, the smallest block, is the renewable energies, where we have a couple of projects looking into bioenergy, biogas, for instance, but also they also tackle those topics like energy poverty, community-owned energy, and ecosystem services. So throughout the programming period, we also measure the outputs of the result of the projects, and this is what we will see on the next slide. So you can see that we have already more than 900 good practices published by those projects under the low carbon economy. There was no target set for this indicator. We also have already more than 200 action plans, and yeah, we can see that we're really close to hitting the target that was set in 2014 in the cooperation program. And then when it comes to the people that increased their professional capacities thanks to the cooperation project, we can see that already by now we overperform because we have more than 4,000 people that indicated that they increased their capacity. So we overperform compared to the target set in 2014. And those are figures that are very much updated. So from this month, November 2021. We also monitor the results of the projects, and this is what we'll see in the next slide. The 60 projects under the low carbon economy reported a total of 143 policy changes. So in 143 cases, they managed to improve actually the policy instrument that they were addressing in the cooperation project. Most of those policy changes concern structural fund programs, so the ERDF operational programs, but also quite a lot of different other policy instruments. And in those 143 cases where policy instruments have actually been improved, the projects also reported that they managed to influence more than 433 million euro. And this 433 million euro is different funds. It's local funding, regional funding, sometimes national funding. And yes, the experience in the project helped the partners to make better use of those funds. We like to calculate the leverage effect, which you can see on the left-hand side of the slide, and that's maybe the most important figure you should take away. The leverage effect is the mobilization of the funds. So for every euro that the program inputs into the project, they manage to mobilize €6.90 of their own funding. Last but not least, we have a lot of, let's say, content in the projects, the good practices, the experiences, and we use the policy learning platform to capitalize on the knowledge to further exploit the results of the projects. Maybe we can move on to the next slides, please. The policy learning platform is kind of the mixer that mixes it all together and makes sure that the outcome is really handy and usable for policymakers throughout Europe. So we have the knowledge hub with a lot of content-related publications, the good practices, also the policy briefs. Simon is going to mention a bit more in detail right now. We have the community where a lot of online and also offline events have been organized so far. And we have the tailor-made support services like the peer reviews and the matchmakings. That was a really quick overview. I hope you enjoyed the session, and I give back the floor to Katharina. Thank you.
Thank you, Verena. To the audience, we are having the chat tab on the right hand. And if you have questions to Verena, you can type them there, and Verena will attend to that as good as she can. So we are the cooks. We mix the thematic knowledge coming out of the projects. And now my colleague Simon will highlight the achievements of low carbon economy projects through the activities of the policy learning platform. Now, this is a good lens because the policy learning platform works with the output, with the knowledge and the experience that is gathered and produced inside of the individual projects. So if we as thematic experts decide to focus on a specific topic, organize an event around it, write a policy brief, or organize a peer review, it is because there is a critical mass of knowledge on that topic coming from the TO4 projects, or because somebody has expressed a specific interest in the topic. So therefore, to admire a little bit the joint thematic output of TO4 projects, it's good to look at what the policy learning platform has been doing. Over to you, Simon.
Okay, thank you, Katharina, and good morning, everyone. I think we can start straight away with the first slide. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, Verena has already shown the impressive achievements of Interreg Europe projects. And the policy learning platform, we've been drawing out lessons, making connections between projects, and working to bring results and trends to a wider audience. So far, we've drawn results from just over 90% of the low carbon economy projects to inform our actions, which you'll see here on the slide, just to repeat Katharina a little bit. We've validated a lot of good practices already. We've produced policy briefs and publications, organized workshops, webinars. And then we've used the project achievements to inform our on-demand policy support through the peer reviews, matchmakings, and the policy help desk. So in this very brief presentation, I'll look at the key themes of our activities, showing again where this critical mass of knowledge has been generated. Information on all of the activities can be found through the policy learning platform. So just take note of anything of interest to you and be sure to check out all of the resources and material later in the day. Next slide. Okay, in low carbon mobility, we're seeing a few key areas where projects are working. Firstly, sustainable urban mobility has been a key topic. We covered this in our workshop on citizen-focused urban mobility, and it's also been tackled in a recent peer review for Kilkenny in Ireland. E-mobility has been tackled in several workshops, as well as a recent matchmaking on e-bus fleets in Romania. I'll also take this chance to do a spot of promotion by mentioning our upcoming webinar series on e-mobility. So this starts next Tuesday, the 30th of November, with the second session on the 7th of December and the third on the 14th of December, in December. Katarina, I think, will share the link in the chat for anyone who is interested, but I would encourage you to have a look and to sign up. So active transport, here we're talking about cycling and walking, of course. This has been examined through a very successful 5-part webinar series on cycling cities, as well as policy briefs and a webinar on behavior change. Public transport we've examined in quite a few workshops as well, and also in webinars, but we've also produced 2 policy briefs, and we held an online discussion with our projects considering how to make public transport safe in pandemic times and rebuild trust after the COVID lockdowns. And finally, we also saw an emerging interest in urban logistics. So that's, deliveries, rubbish collection, service vehicles, and so on, which has been tackled through a peer review for Warsaw, but also through a policy brief. Next slide. Thanks. Okay, so in energy efficiency, we've been focusing on key topics such as energy performance of social housing, with a peer review for Eau-de-France and also a webinar. How to unlock funds for energy efficiency is, of course, an ever important topic, which we've explored through a dedicated workshop on financial instruments, as well as through an accompanying policy brief. Sustainable energy in SMEs has been a very hot topic this year, with a peer review for Western Macedonia, as well as an online workshop and a policy brief. One-stop shops, also an increasingly popular solution for private household renovation. And we've used project examples and achievements to inform a peer review with Bologna in Belgium, as well as to produce a policy brief and a webinar. And finally, we've tackled behavior change through an online discussion between our projects and also a policy brief. Next slide. Okay, so renewable energy is the smallest of our group of projects, but still they've achieved a lot. And we've been very active with policy briefs and webinars on topics such as promoting renewable energy communities, skills programs, self-consumption, public acceptance, integration into the grid, and the role of smart grids. And also we've looked at biogas and biowaste strategies. So again, plenty of material there to be explored. Next slide. Okay, and finally, our strategy projects have informed several activities. First, we've looked at how to develop multi-municipal strategies, specifically sustainable energy and climate action plans in a peer review with the German-speaking community of Belgium. We've considered overall development strategies for specific territorial characteristics such as lignite-intensive regions and port regions, again, through a peer review and matchmaking. And we've also explored integrating low-carbon strategies for a recent policy brief and a webinar, and examined the role of data and data sharing in developing smart city approaches. Finally, another COVID-related topic, we saw a lot of demand from the community this year on how to make use of European Recovery and Resilience Funds. So working with our environment and resource efficient colleagues in TO6, we prepared a webinar examining the ERF and how regions are looking to influence the funds. So last slide. Oh, that was it. Okay, that's it for the overview. A lot to cram into 5 minutes, but I hope that it sort of demonstrates the breadth of experience and knowledge generated by Interage Europe projects. And as I said, you can find information about all of these activities on the policy learning platform.
Thank you very much, Simon. That's great. So we see the joint knowledge created, but behind the projects we have, of course, the individual partners. Now, they join the Interage Europe projects to ultimately make progress within their own organization. Therefore, let's now look at some very good results, and we will feature one partner for each of the subtopics: energy efficiency, mobility, and renewables, starting with Rachel Tully from the Energy Agency of Extremadura, Agenex from Spain. She's been a partner in the SISMO project, and she's going to explain us about the strategy for boosting e-mobility in Extremadura. Rachel, over to you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Katerina, for the introduction. Indeed, I'm representing today Agenex, and I would like to share with you our electromobility strategy, which is the main result we achieved in the region through SISMOB project. Next slide, please. Why did we decide to join the project? There were a series of challenges in the region that we had to overface, and there are a number of partners with kind of the same problem. So we decided to work on this issue together. And among these main needs, we had the need to reduce the carbon footprint in general, but mainly in the transport sector as well. The need to increase the sustainability of urban areas, the need to improve the efficiency of the urban transport infrastructure, and a very good potential for this is through information communication technologies. The need to assess policymakers in their investment priorities in this in all of the different intervention areas, and finally the need to inform and especially encourage citizens to choose a sustainable mobility option. So in the next slide, we will see an overview of the SISMOB project. It was approved under the first call of Interage Europe. It began in April 2016 and went through until March 2020 with a total budget of just over 1 million euros. This project was led by the University of Aveiro in Portugal, and additionally there were another 5 partners, another Portuguese partner, the municipality of Águeda. We had an advisory partner as well from Stockholm University in Sweden, and 2 Romanian partners, Intelligent Transport Systems and Bucharest Metropolitan Transport Authority, and finally Agenex from Spain. In the next slide, we will see the lessons that inspired the most the development of our action plan. Phase 1 had a lot of different learning activities, but if I have to choose the most inspiring ones, I would go for these 3. The first activity was related to a good practice we visited in Sweden at Ericsson company, which proved the potential that ICT has in electromobility and transport in general, especially after the COVID situation, to avoid crowded public transport and so on. The second activity was a building capacity workshop and thematic seminar held in Romania. This untapped the importance of planning and coordinating the mobility strategies with all of the different stakeholders involved. And the third activity was a staff exchange program that was developed in Portugal, and it allowed to learn about the interoperability system of charging stations for electric vehicles. The system, specific system in Portugal, allows users to access any charging station in the whole country using the same card, which has the information on the user, and the platform also stores relevant information, as it could be energy consumption per station, number of users, the access they have per day, or even the emissions saved. Extremadura went a step further because given the geographical situation we have with Portugal and the amount of traffic cross-border, we thought it was interesting to be able to join our charging stations to the same platform. So this is another action that we are working on now, and it's been very successful. So speaking as well about the achievements in Extremadura, if we can move on to the next slide, please. the policy that SISMOB aimed at improving and finally managed to improve in Spain was the Regional Operational Program for Extremadura 2014-2020. Specifically, there is an objective to promote sustainable urban mobility, clean transport, better connections, and improvements for pedestrians and cycling. But despite this very detailed objective, and its budget allocation, there was not a specific policy that could coordinate all of the actions that had to be taken in this field. And this is why, through identifying this problem in the project, we decided to develop the strategy, which was approved and made public by November 2018, and its implementation is foreseen until 2030. In the next slide, we will see the different actions that are being implemented in Extremadura following the guidelines of the strategy, and they can be gathered in 4 main groups. The first one towards creating a steady, reliable charging infrastructure, which is the main step we want to encourage citizens to use electric vehicles, which is part of this second group of actions that has a target of 10% of new vehicles being electric. The third group of actions would move towards supporting research and innovation in this field. The university has a research group focusing on storage, bidirectional charging, and so on. And the fourth group would be to coordinate the involvement of different key actors. I assume everywhere is the same, but especially in this mobility, it's very important to include public and private. And in the last slide, we will see the results and especially the key messages. First, and I think very important, is that the budget allocated for grants for purchasing new electric vehicles or installing charging points individually, it's very related to the strategy, as it prioritizes the stations that were identified in the strategy's map. So regarding the distance between one another, the buildings that are more or less busy, like hospitals, shopping centers, and so on, they have a higher prioritization when approving the grants. So you can say that the strategy is taken into account when the grants are decided to be approved or not. So mainly to transfer to other regions, I would say the importance of public support at different levels, regional, county level, even local level. The involvement of the private sector, not only companies, but also users associations. The importance of creating the awareness through dissemination campaigns. There has been as well a number of activities held with youngsters to involve them in the process. And finally, for each region to analyze their own potential. In Extremadura, for instance, it's a very vast region. There are many small municipalities very separate, so public transport works sometimes, but it's not enough in other times. So when the private vehicles are used, we do try to promote them to be electrical. And given the high amount of renewable generation we have in the region, they wouldn't only be electric vehicles, but they would use clean energy. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Yes, one would think of linking solar, photovoltaic and e-mobility when one is located in Extremadura. I wish I could say the same here in Belgium.
Yes.
I have a question for you. So we see that the importance of linking the call topics from the regional programs to a strategy, and ideally have the strategy influenced through the input gathered in stakeholder consultations. Is this a good practice that is only happening in the area of e-mobility, or is this good practice implemented for all the topics of the regional operational program?
Yes, indeed, it's often it's a good practice that it's commonly used for a main reason. The regional operational program is managed by the regional government, and the government cannot be and experts in all of the different fields. So it's important that they have a public consultation with not only experts, but also potential beneficiaries, key stakeholders, and not only in the preparation of the strategy, but also when it's finished, there is a consultation as well before it's validated and approved. And then as well, I think I would highlight that it's not worth anything if you have a great strategy that then no one follows up. So I would like to highlight as well the importance of monitoring the implementation of the strategy, even adapting it if necessary, and making sure that it's being followed correctly.
Yes, and the strategy is always an evolving thing, so certainly regular updates are also foreseen. Huh?
Yeah, especially when it's a long-term strategy. It's very difficult, at least in the public sector, to have a strategy for 2 or 3 years. So they usually go to 2030, 2050. So it's very important that they have a periodic revision, and when needed, that they are adapted. Yes, of course.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Now we would like to look at a good practice for energy efficiency, and I would like to invite Luminița Mihailov to the stage. She's a Director General for Southeast Regional Development Agency in Romania, and she's going to explain us about the improved guidelines for their calls for proposal for energy efficiency in public buildings. Luminița, over to you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Katarina, for the introduction. My presentation is about one project aiming energy efficiency in public buildings. And we, as intermediate body for a regional operational program for our region, we were able to improve, as you will see, the policy implementation in our region. So next slide, please. As we know, all of us, buildings are one of the main polluters in terms of energy. And the challenge for the future is to improve as much as possible the public building, especially, but not all public, but the project was about the public. We, as a regional agency, we had the role of intermediate body in the 2014-2020 regional operational program, and for the next program period, we will be managing authority for Southeast Regional Operational Program. So, from this perspective, it's also a very important experience we had in this project. So, which were the main challenges project addressed? It's about the topic. It's about improving the public building energy efficiency policy. It's about increasing the capacity of, especially of local public authorities, which are the main owners of these buildings in the field of energy efficiency. It's about increasing our capacity as intermediate body at the time and until 2023 for implementing a regional operation program in our region. And it's about increasing the awareness of citizens, of partners, of decision makers, of all the actors that can contribute to this policy objective. Next slide, please. So the general objective was to improve the capacity of public authorities in European regions to undertake efficient renovation works of their public building stock. And the specific objective was to save the energy and also the public resources, because especially public buildings, we know that involve mainly public resources. Next slide, please. So we had a wide partnership. The leader of the project was a regional agency for waste and resource management from Italy, from Tuscany region. We also had some municipalities, as the city of Malmö from Sweden, We had the county agency, Bora 94 from Hungary, non-profit agency. We have Association of Municipalities from Poland, Polish Network Energy Cities. We as a partner. From Germany, we had an advisory partner, European Institute for Innovation. From UK, Durham County Council, and the region of Crete from Greece. Next slide, please. So, which were the activities and what made our project different from others? So, the main activity was about building this energy renovation path as an instrument used for all the partners to improve their policies in this area. So the project creates a guideline of good practices, a guideline which includes concrete measures with real steps that should be taken by the local authorities and by decision makers in general to improve the policy in all the phases, from planning, implementing policy, monitoring, and also the project tackled the horizontal theme of capacity building among the partners. Next slide, please. In our case, under Regional Operation Program 2014-2020, we had the priority axis dedicated to support the transition towards low carbon economy. And we had one priority axis 3.1 with actions dedicated to energy efficiency in public buildings. It was operation number B, and operation number A, it was about residential buildings. But in the project, we were addressing operation B, which was about public buildings.
Luminita, 3 minutes.
Yes, yes.
You have 3 more minutes.
Yes, thank you. So we, at that time, we were about to launch new call for proposals about this axis. Next slide, please. It was about the instrument in Delta Danube Territorial Instrument. It was a program of 33.8 million euro, and based on the experience from the project, we managed to have a new simplified administrative criteria, new eligibility and selection criteria, and also better technical and evaluation criteria. Next slide, please. Here we have a situation related to the best practices and lessons learned from the partners. So as far as criteria, eligibility criteria, and evaluation criteria, we took into consideration the experience from Hungary, from Italy, and from Greece, from their regional operation programs. And in terms of good practices towards local authorities' capacities, we have, as experience, we have identified from Durham County Council and from Hungary. Next slide, please. Which are the messages we want to share with you within this presentation? So the measures should take into account all the cycle of programming period. So from planning, implementing, monitoring, and always to improve the implementation. This is one message. Second is that there should be a permanent dialogue and coordination measures and common agenda between beneficiaries and managing authorities. Without this communication, without permanent dialogue, we cannot achieve good results in policy implementation. And the third one is that based on this exchange of experience, we were able to improve our policies. So it's very important to bring into project as much as possible good experience, stakeholders from our territories, and import as much as possible from the practices, good practices of the others. So thank you for the attention.
Thank you very much, Luminita. It is clear that it's very important that the call programs are suitable and that they are understandable and that they meet the requirements of the stakeholders. So only putting money is not enough. It has to be smart programming. So thank you very much for this example. I have a question. You have launched the 2 calls with the improved criteria. How do you measure that they are better than what you had before? What are the indicators?
Well, we received more proposals from the applicants and better ones. So due to better guidelines, we were able to improve. The applicants were understood better the requirements the program had from their side. So these are concrete results we can prove the experience of the project.
That sounds great. Thank you very much. I think it takes courage to put one's programming on the table and to seek input. I think it's a very good attitude to always think that you can improve something and learn from the others. So thank you very much for this. And with this, I would like to hand over to Swada Mustabegovic, who is going to bring us an example also from programming, this time from Croatia, and for financing in support of renewable energy. And here you see one of these very important financial instruments that are key to scaling up the impact in energy efficiency and renewables. So Swada, over to you.
Thank you very much, Katarina. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today to speak about financing for renewable energy. Next slide, please. The challenges we mainly faced in the context of reducing the emission of greenhouse gases and climate change impact are the production of energy from renewables is not growing as expected. Renewable sector is requiring new supporting schemes capable of unlocking the great potential of private investment by overcoming the financial, legal, and administrative barriers in decentralized investment for both regeneration and storage. One of the main challenges to creating financial instrument is finding the right balance between loans and grants. Grants are needed for demonstration and pilot projects, and loans are more suitable for conventional SMEs. Next slide, please. With the aim of resolving the above-mentioned challenges, a Firespool project was launched, seeking to boost implementation the financial instrument in renewables project. The aim is to create new incentive schemes. Firespool project is implemented in partnership between 6 European countries: Spain, Germany, Poland, Ireland, Latvia, and Croatia. Spain is a project team leader. Implementation period is between 2018 and 2022. Next slide, please. One of the key benefits of Interage project is the inspiration provided through the exchange of experience and new ideas. In the context of Firespool project, interesting and innovative renewables projects were presented, and lessons learned are with the aim of decarbonizing Europe until 2050, it is vital to include all sectors and stakeholders, citizen energy communities, private companies, public institutions, individual citizens. Inclusion of citizens and municipalities in the regional production and supply of energy is the key factor in accepting energy transition and the necessity to increase the use of renewables. Blending of different sources of financing is very efficient. Europe, as the leader and proponent of the transition to clean energy, should support renewables project and integral solution through ESI funds, and also multiple benefits from investment in renewables have to be further promoted. One lesson learned also is providing a single contact points through to one-stop shop platform for providing all information for RES in one place is also useful. Next slide, please. Thanks to the interregional exchange of experience, certain financial mechanisms and examples of good practice were recognized as potential option in Croatian main strategic document, Energy Development Strategy of the Republic of Croatia until 2030, with an outlook to 2050. That was adopted in earlier 2021 in line with the obligation in the European Green Deal. I would like to point out that Croatia has a significant renewables potential, especially regarding solar energy, which has not been utilized enough. So the new policy instrument will provide for the development and implementation of new renewables project, which will increase the production of energy from renewables. Next, please. Croatian action plan confirmed under the Firespool projects defines two actions. Action 1 is establishment of one-stop shop for renewables, and the second action is creation of a new financing scheme to support renewables in the tourism sector. Next, please. Based on the Polish project Prosument program for financing small and micro renewables installation in Poland, and the fact that during the tourist season, Croatia has the highest installation rate, we have decided that one of the actions defined in the action plan should be directed at tourism. Why tourism? Croatia is highly oriented to tourism, and the majority of accommodation capacity are provided by the so-called small proprietors who are registered for letting out apartments and rooms. There have been no incentives for them so far, so we developed and launched call for proposal for the use of renewables in tourism, specifically for the purchase of photovoltaic models. Next slide, please. The call was launched after the challenging tourist season in September 2020. 1 million euros was allocated for the call. 166 applications were received, of which 114 were successful and awarded contract and whose implementation is underway. Next slide, please. The key point based on our experience of participation in Firespool project and of course in implementation of numerous renewables and energy efficiency project is that all sectors are showing an interest which is growing year on year. It is essential to provide the relevant funding that will be allocated transparently. Since both the banking and private sector are showing an interest in investing in renewables projects, a realistic balance should be found between grants funding and the financial mechanism to implement as many as possible small-scale projects. Also, municipalities and towns need the financing of RES projects and improvement of their infrastructure right away. Green funds for the green funds, green bonds, citizen energy communities, tax benefits for investment and other innovative financing scheme for renewables project are more than welcome and should be continuously developed. That's all. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Strana. I think it's very important points on your conclusion slide. And you mentioned the leveraging effect of financial instruments. So I assume that before you started blending grant and loan, you used only grants. And then how do you measure that this is now better? Can you reach many more projects? What is your impact indicator?
Exactly. In previous year in Croatia, a grant is most often used to support investment in renewables. For example, in 2020, Environmental Protection and Energy Efficiency Fund implemented innovative renewables and energy efficiency financing scheme for all type of beneficiaries, local authorities and public institution, private entrepreneurs, and citizens that were well accepted by the public and by potential beneficiaries who showed great interest. About financial instrument, I can say that Croatian Bank for Reconstruction and Development, HBOR, is in charge of financial instrument in Croatia, and that are still being developed, and we are just in a process. And the key indicators for renewables project is always kilowatt of newly installed green energy power, and of course CO2 emission reduction. But I can say in this context that regarding all experience until today, we believe the mix between financial instrument, loans with low interest rates, and grants would be effective and well accepted in Croatia.
That's very great that you managed to work with the banking sector. Thank you very much, Svana. Okay. Some people say I don't sound well. I hope you can still understand me. I would like to call all speakers on screen for a little roundtable discussion. And as you cannot hear me, I give the floor quickly to the others. My question to kick off is...
Katarina, sorry to interrupt, but your sound is quite bad.
Yeah.
Your audio,
yes.
Maybe you should close all your internet tabs other than hopping, because we have a problem understanding you.
Yeah, that's very bad. I'm very sorry. I closed my camera. Can somebody else launch the question for the panel? The question is, what was the added value of participating in the Interage Europe project for you as a...
Katarina?
Hmm?
Do you want me to take over?
Yes.
Okay, can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Simon, you want to do it, or you want me to do it?
No, I can do that. That's fine.
Okay, Simon,
so
go ahead.
Thanks, Verena. So the first question was, apart from the presented results, what was the added value of participating in the Interage Europe project for you as an individual, for your organization, and for your territory? So I believe we go in speaker order. So that would be first.
Yes. Okay, so first, the added value is definitely the opportunity to cooperate with other partner regions that are facing the same problem as we are, allowing the learning experience to find joint solutions. Secondly, and quite important as well, is the increased capacity at organizational level from all of the staff involved in the project, and as well of our stakeholders. Especially in mobility, we had to engage new stakeholders that we hadn't worked with before, so it enlarged as well our involved stakeholders. And particularly as well with SISMO project, we have two key takeaways, which would be the possibility of a transport intermodality that we hadn't addressed very much before, and the second as well, the importance of ICT for an effective management and prediction of the use of public transport.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. So to Luminita.
Yes, about the value added of the project. First of all, for our stakeholders, I think that it was very important experience because we have improved a lot in the performances of one municipality, which was very much active involved in the project. So after this experience from other partners, they were able to prepare more projects under European programs, better projects, and also they inside their Europe action plan for energy efficiency at the level of municipality. It's about Buzău municipality. It's Buzău municipality from our region. They managed to have a program for the schools. So they managed to improve the schools, the behavior of the users of schools, of buildings, of children, and also of the teachers there. And so also they had some path in using some circular economy, which is not exactly energy efficiency in buildings, but it was somehow related with this. So one of our, we are very happy with this municipality that managed to invest more than 8 million euros in projects after this experience. So they took experience from other partners and they prepare projects about 8 million in energy efficiency. And in our case, of course, we as intermediate body, I mentioned, we improved our guidelines together with Managing Authority, which is the Ministry of Development. And it is an experience that we are going to use in the future as Managing Authority for Regional Operation Program, next programming period, where we will continue investing in energy efficiency of buildings, both in public and residential.
Simon, you're muted.
That would be mine. Okay, so Ada, the same question to you, please.
The added value in our case and the key benefit of Interage project is the inspiration provided through the exchange of experience and new ideas. Also, I fully agree with my colleagues Rachel and Luminita. And Firespool was the first Interage project for me personally, as well as for my institution, Environmental Protection and Energy Efficiency Fund. And I can say that the cooperation with the project partners was excellent and give us a lot of good ideas, like establish one-stop shop, creating of a new financing scheme to support renewables in tourism sector. And about this program, the program in tourism give the opportunity to become energy producer for own needs and to reduce expenses on energy. This is cost effective and long-term investment for proprietors who are letting out apartments and rooms, and our idea is to install photovoltaic panels and produce energy at the place where the energy is consumed. And we believe that is really important, and we are focused on small-scale projects.
Okay, thank you very much. So we're running a little bit short of times. So for the next question, I'll ask you to answer in just 30 seconds maximum. And that would be simply, are you planning to apply to the future program? And do you have any specific project ideas ready? So Rachel, first to you.
Yeah, well, we are definitely very interested and looking forward to hearing more about it tomorrow. We've had projects in self-consumption mobility, financing, retrofits. So I think maybe something towards energy communities and democratizing the system.
Okay, thank you. Luminita?
Yes, definitely. We are interested in continuing with this partnership with this Interage cooperation projects, because it's a lot for us to learn from our partners in Europe. Yes, definitely.
Great, thanks. And Suada?
Yes, of course, and we are aware that in upcoming period it is necessary to change the structure of power source, and bearing in mind creation great resource potential, we try to realize as much as possible small-scale project in all sectors. And of course, we are Environmental Protection and Energy Efficiency Fund, and we are interesting not only for renewables project, we are interesting for environmental protection, energy efficiency, and different kind of project in next Interage.
Okay, thank you very much. I see Katarina is back. I don't know if she can speak or not, but perhaps I can launch the poll. So on the right-hand side, you'll see access to a Slido, and we'd ask you to type in that the answer to in the future program, what topics would you like to work on? So please type your desired topics into the text box that you'll find under Slido. Use short words, and we'll see a word cloud forming from your input. Whilst that's happening, perhaps we can check. Katarina? No, still not good. Still not good. Okay. Is there any way that we could zoom in to the cloud? I'm afraid I cannot read any of the text. Great. Okay. Well, we see some clear trending topics here: sustainable mobility, digitalization, energy poverty. I think particularly relevant now post-COVID. Sustainable tourism. So yeah, I mean, actually, these are all very interesting topics, the ones that we haven't covered hugely. I mean, sustainable mobility, of course, has been covered quite widely, but digitalization, energy poverty, we can still do certainly quite a bit more. I would invite perhaps Verena and Charu to comment if and how most mentioned topics are in line with the new program objectives.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Verena. Maybe I can start, and if you want, you can complete afterwards. Well, actually, this is something that we will present tomorrow, as it was already mentioned by Rachel, I think. So I take the opportunity to invite you all to stay tuned and follow our event tomorrow for about the future. But of course, all these topics that we can see now on screen and that were today mentioned and discussed are completely in line with the priorities, of course, the European priorities for the next programming period and our priorities as Interage Europe. And as I said, this is something that will be presented tomorrow, but I can tell you now that the next Interage Europe will have only one single cross-cutting priority, which is called a better cooperation governance, focusing on capacity building, but that allows applicants and open the door to applicants to submit applications and proposals addressing all the topics, all the issues that fall within the cohesion policy for the next programming period. And of course, this includes different pillars, one of them being a greener Europe, which comprises all the topics that we discussed today: energy efficiency, sustainable mobility, renewable energies, climate change adaptation. So yes, I cannot but invite you all to apply to with these new ideas to the next program.
Thank you, Charu.
Totally, I can only agree to this. Please apply and make use of the broad thematic coverage. I think we have some trending topics, like in particular the financing topics, the cycling topic, digitalization. I think it's really important when we look into smart buildings, smart cities, smart grids. So these are for me just a really few keywords. I'm sure we will hear about them also in the next programming period.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you very much, Verena. Okay, our time for this session is up. I think we can take those comments as your final statements, Verena, Charu. And in that case, we can thank you all for participating today. Check out the rest of the agenda for Europe Let's Cooperate. Lots more interesting sessions coming up this afternoon and today. And with that, we can thank also all of the speakers. Verena's doing a bit of promo there.
Thank you.
And yeah, thank you all for joining us.
Thank you. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you.
Imagine if you could easily find solutions to make your region or city smarter, greener, better connected, more social, and closer to citizens. The Interage Europe Policy Learning Platform can help you. Access knowledge about the latest policy trends. Discover expert-validated good practices from all over Europe. Find solutions in our peer review. Get tailored support from our expert team. We can connect you with the right people and organizations. Together, we will find ways to solve your region's or city's challenges. Start your policy learning journey today.